Hello, beautiful people. Let's talk about the chakras real quickly. Alright, so I made another video, high energy, but it ended up being like 20 minutes and I wasn't even halfway done with the stuff I wanted to talk about. And the stuff that I was talking about, it was just like boom, 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 like all over the place. There was no structure to it. So, I'm redoing this video, slowing it down a little bit, and creating some structure with it. So, what are the chakras and why should we pay any attention to them? Now, the chakras, these things right here, okay, you can only see down to the solar plexus, but there's two down below here. Let me see if you can. Whoop. Yeah, there you go. There's the sacral and then the bottom, the root. Okay, there you go. Let me tip you back over there. So you have 7 chakras. Chakras are energetic centers of consciousness that govern or rule over those different aspects of your life. You have 3 at the top that are ascending, 1, 2, 3, the throat, third eye, and crown, and those have to do with the mind. Okay. Then you have the heart right there, the green one. The heart is the fulcrum or the source of life, of all the other chakras. If you didn't have the heart chakra, the other chakras would be non-existent because all the other chakras unfold from the heart chakra. Then you have the 3 right there, starting with the solar plexus, the 3 at the bottom, the solar plexus, sacral, and root, descending down into the earth. Those have to do with the body, the more material chakras that yeah, they have to do with the body, right? So the 3 at the top have to do with the mind, the 3 at the bottom with the body, and then the heart, your spirit. That is where your holy of holies is at, and that is where beneath all the layers of labels that you call yourself, I call myself Andrew, right? And I am a yogi and a monk and a dreamer and a healer and a warrior. But beneath all that, if you wipe all that away, you're left with awareness. It's even below the threshold of your thoughts, and your awareness is that me that is deep down in here. When you think of me, I am me. That is that part of you that is unsullied and untouched. It is pure, always pure. And that is a part of ourselves that we're trying to unfold. It is a part that holds the blueprint of our soul that we want to unfold to color our different chakras. That way we can give our gift and spread our light to the world, our own unique gift. Now the key here is that you want to open up your heart chakra first of all. When you're beginning to work on your chakras and develop them, you begin at the heart, always at the heart. That is the center, and that is how you grow. When any plant or animal grows, if you look at a fetus, or before, like when an egg is fertilized and it begins to grow, it doesn't grow from the top, from the bottom to the top. It doesn't grow from the root to the crown. It grows from the heart out, and it unfolds like a flower or a spiral, that golden spiral, right? Like the Fibonacci sequence. So the thing that opens the heart is when you are in a... Okay, let's take a step back before we go there. So those are the chakras, and the different chakras govern the different aspects of your life. So your heart is the source. It governs unconditional love and patience. So you move up to your throat, and this has to do with your word, okay? And there's a whole lot behind that, but if we simplify it down, it's simply your word. And if you go look behind it, it deals with your hearing, the element sound, how you communicate, how you express yourself, your beliefs, truth. But if we want to simplify it down to one word, it is your word. then as above, so below. So you're balancing it out, right? You have the first ring, which is the throat and the solar plexus. Okay, and those work in tandem together. The throat, your word, has to do with those things that come from your mind. And then your solar plexus is about you taking action on those things. So, right, faith without action is a dead faith. It's not a real faith. So you want to balance out your throat chakra by taking action on those things that you believe. Whatever you believe in, you give your free will, which is what the solar plexus governs. If we distill it down to one word, it is your free will. And if you want to look behind that, what else does it entail? It is your center of your power, your vitality, your confidence, your courage. It also has to do with forgiveness and purification. So whatever you believe, you want to energize with your free will and begin to be willing to do those things and begin to act on those things. You move up to your third eye, because we're going in a spiral. And this has to do with your focus. Remember, we're at the mind, and we're talking about our thoughts here. And the third eye has to do with our focus. And focus is the key that opens the door to imagination. And imagination is the field or the realm where the light of inspiration can come. Okay, so distill it down, focus, third eye, down to the sacral, and concentration. Behind concentration, that is the key to the door of creativity, which is the realm from which our primal instincts arise. Move up to the crown, and what do we have here? This has to do with our intention. This is our connection to the divine, and this is where we set our intention. You know, you can set an intention and the intention not come true because you haven't taken care of the foundational chakras. It all rests upon those first 5 chakras: your heart, throat, third eye, solar plexus, and sacral. And once you get all those things in line, right, your word and your thoughts, and all those things go in, and they are the content and the substance of what makes up your intention. And then the intention is the key that opens the door to the 1,000-petal lotus, or infinite things, because you can set your intention to learn anything. Okay? It's infinite. You are infinite. It's unlimited. And then finally, you have all 6 of those chakras. You move down to your root chakra as a whole being with integrity, your word, thoughts, and actions in line. And now you've unfolded your gift, and you're bringing it down as a divine being from heaven and rooting it down into the earth, giving your gift to the world. And the root, it has to do with presence. So you're taking all those other chakras that you've aligned and developed and planting them down, rooting them down into the earth, and sharing your presence with the world around you, shining your light. And then from there, you know, that's when you begin to build from the bottom up. So why are they important? Any chronic illness or chronic disease that you have has their roots in the spiritual body, your chakras, which are really more like the etheric body. We'll get more into that because there's depth to that. But essentially, you don't have to. You want to look beyond your mind and beyond your body to your spirit and look at the chakras, because I can guarantee you, if you have some type of chronic illness, you have some type of thing within one or multiple of your chakras that is out of alignment or just not right. And the reason being is because the chakras connect to our physical body, and they govern the certain aspects of our physical body. The most important aspect, and where they really connect at the fundamental level, is with our endocrine system. Our endocrine system are our glands that transmit our neurotransmitters and our hormones like serotonin, dopamine, oxytocin, endorphins, testosterone, estrogen, and whatever else. I can't name them all. Melatonin, some would say even DMT. But our chakras are what govern those endocrine glands. And when our chakras are healthy and spinning and active, then our endocrine gland that's associated with that specific chakra is also going to be healthy and sending, releasing the right amount of chemicals into your body. Because those chemicals, the certain mix of chemicals that are running through our blood, govern everything that we do in our lives, because they are what will determine our state of being or our emotional state. So every emotion that you have has a certain chemical recipe that's running through your blood, a certain amount of serotonin, a certain amount of dopamine. So if you have an emotion like love or joy or peace, then those are all harmonic emotions. They have a beautiful snowflake-like sacred geometry, if they were to put it down on like a blueprint. And if you have a negative emotion like anxiety or depression or anger, then if you look at the geometry of that, there is no geometry. It's very dissonant, and it's because it's like with any recipe, you have these different ingredients and you're just throwing them together, but not putting them together in a harmonious way, which creates a beautiful taste where they all complement each other. Instead, you're just like, I like salt, so here's a bunch of salt, and I like sugar, so here's a bunch of sugar. It doesn't work that way. And that's what results in those negative emotions. So if you have healthy chakras, you're going to have healthy emotions. And with healthy emotions, you're going to have healthy thoughts. Because you can only think as high as your emotional vibration. If you're depressed, that's why a lot of depressed people, they have a negative mindset, because they can't see beyond what their emotional level allows them to see. Whereas someone who's joyful and positive, they have that light of hope and they can see beyond the horizon. They can see all the infinite opportunities, and they can see that they have the choice and the power to make different decisions, to create different pathways throughout their life. So with the heart has to do with the thymus gland. The thymus is pretty much like the headquarters of your immune system. All right, so when you open up the heart, you're opening up and really activating that thymus gland and really supercharging your immune system. So, like I said, with chronic diseases, it's because something is wrong with one or multiple of your chakras, and that produces suffering. When your chakras are aligned and all activated, then suffering ceases to exist, or it begins to decrease until it ceases to exist. And we are all made out of love. That's what our heart tells us. We are unconditional love. And if love is that white ray of light, if you shoot it through a prism, it creates the 7 colors, right? Roy G. Biv, which are the 7 chakras. And those are the 7 different perspectives or colors of unconditional love. And each one of those chakras governs an aspect of unconditional love. So for example, with our word, what is love when it comes to our center of communication? Faith, right? Faith is the state of being from which you move in love from your throat chakra. And from that state of being, the yang part, what you do is you practice moderation. So you moderate your faith into your life. In other words, whatever you believe, you moderate your life to be in line with those beliefs. And when you do that, it creates a field, an emotional field of joy. And that's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to create more love. We're trying to bear the fruits of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Those 9 different emotional fields. And when you have all 9 of those fields vibing within your aura, not only are you untouchable, but suffering has ceased to exist, and now you're living a magical, effortless life where you're flowing with the Tao. You're flowing with the river of life. You're flowing with the universe harmoniously, and that's where we get that effortless effort, or that non-doing that Taoists always talk about. Another example, right? We move down to our solar plexus. The angelic archetype that governs the solar plexus is forgiveness. So using Tantrism, identify with that, embody that. I am forgiveness, right? So that's what I do in my mantra in the mornings. I am forgiveness. does forgiveness do? Like, right? If forgiveness is like a specific warrior or healer, and it's one skill that he's master at, forgiveness practices generosity. That's the yang, that's the action which yields peace. Doesn't that make sense, y'all? Forgiveness yields peace. When you are embodying forgiveness, you have peace. So now you got love, joy, and peace. And then it continues on, and this video is already getting long, so we'll get into all the details in a further video, or I may even hold like a workshop for something like this. But where were we? Okay, yeah, so the endocrine system, right? So back at the heart, it has to do with the thymus. The throat has to do with the thyroid. Okay, the solar plexus has to do with the pancreas. The third eye has to do with the pituitary gland, which, yeah. And then the sacral has to do with the reproductive glands, so testes and ovaries. The crown, the pineal gland, our connection to the divine. And then the root, our adrenal glands. Our root is the center of our fight or flight. So it's adrenaline, right? And then, what's that, baby? What's that other thing that our adrenal glands secrete? The thing that we have too much of in the day. You have adrenaline, and then the opposite of adrenaline is... okay, we can't think of it right now, but maybe I'll drop it in the comments or something. So yeah, all those 7 endocrine glands are connected directly to those 7 chakras. And when our 7 chakras, like I said, are aligned and healthy, then those endocrine glands are aligned and healthy, which means we're going to have healthy emotions, which will give us healthy thoughts, which will give us healthy actions, and it's just a positive feedback loop, which will again give us even higher emotions. Okay, so all we do is we focus on our emotions, and how do we gain control over them? Through our breath, right? Our heart has to do with the element of air, and it is through our breath that our consciousness meets our subconsciousness, right? Because we either breathe consciously or our body's breathing for us subconsciously. So when we make our breath conscious, we're right at that level where the surface of our subconscious, of the tops of the waters of our subconscious, meets our consciousness. And then we can even dive deeper and begin to not so much control those subconscious processes, but we are moderating them, we are supervising them, we are reprogramming them to be in line with unconditional love. And when we do that, then it begins to work for us versus against us. Because as we move throughout the day, they say 90% of what we do throughout the day is governed by our subconscious. We're just moving through these patterns and not even thinking about it. And our willpower, we only really have 10% to make decisions to create a new course for our life. Now as you develop the chakras, you can develop your willpower to where you gain more and more and more control over your life, to where you're consciously living your whole life, to where no longer is your subconscious just ruling your life, but every decision, every move you make, you're making with absolute presence and consciousness. I hope you all learned something here about the chakras. There's a lot more I could say, but really this is just a brief overview of them. But essentially, the Manitopian perspective is you begin with the heart and then you unfold, starting with the word, right? Because in the beginning was the word, and then you move through that. You go down to your solar plexus, the center of fire, and you activate that, and it creates a light which gives you the light of hope at your third eye and allows you to see, and it creates that vision, right? And you focus that vision, and you hold that focus, and that concentrates it down into your sacral. Your sacral is your center of creativity, and it is governed by water. So when you're focusing that light and concentrating down on the water like a magnifying glass, it's going to heat up that water, create steam, which is going to float up to your crown and create clouds. So everything is going to get dark at first, right? That dark night of the soul. It's going to create clouds up here, and it's going to keep on building up clouds until it can't hold it anymore. And it's going to get dark until finally it rains down onto the earth at the root chakra. And then that seed that you planted with that fertile heart, is going to bloom into a flower from the bottom up, from the root all the way to the crown, where it's going to open up the flower and yield the fruits and begin to fall on the earth. That's your gift. Okay? So I hope that makes sense to you all. And I guess if the last thing that I can give to you is how to open your heart, it's when you're in a state of patience, your heart is open. And when your heart is open, love, that infinite wellspring of love, is flowing out in through your chakras, aligning your chakras, nourishing your chakras until it reaches the earth, and then you begin to nourish all those around you. So use a mantra. Just, you train your subconscious. So every day, be consistent. Every morning, give your first fruits. I am me, right? Because the whole idea is you want to be more of yourself. That's what we all want. We want to discover our gift that we're sharing with the world. And meditation is all about becoming familiar with yourself and becoming more like yourself. And the greatest practice of patience is meditation. So I am me, okay? I am me. I practice patience. I yield love. Right? So I am me, the fulcrum, the state of being. I practice patience, the yang. I yield love, the yin, the passive. It creates that emotional field of love. So if you want to open your heart, stay in that field of patience, practice patience, because patience makes perfect. And you'll come to realize that all of the other chakras are simply there to supplement, to aid in the practice and to deepen the practice of patience, because patience is all that matters. If you're looking for what to do to love, the doing part of love is patience. That's all it is. When you're practicing patience, when you're in that state of patience, you know that you are aligned with the will of God, with the universe, and that whatever you do, whatever comes forth from you, is going to be good, is going to be loving. Okay? So thank you all. I hope you know a little bit something more about the chakras. If you have any questions, drop it in the comments. This video is long, but I love you all.